All right, we should be live. All right, everyone, welcome to another Facebook Live. We're going to be talking about, first of all, Riley's dog. Give us a
Right.
FaceTime.
That's right. Say, hey, Harley, look at the newest member of the My Tripified team here. Her name is Harley, 10 pounds. She's 8 weeks old. She's a beautiful pup. Say hi, Harley. Hey, girl. Tell her we're going to talk a little bit about limiting beliefs today, okay? All right. Say bye, Harley. Bye-bye.
New addition. Love it. Mascot right there.
Right.
So, yeah, let's just jump right in. So 3 kind of topics we're going to be talking about today: limiting beliefs, growth mindset, and then essentially from a business perspective, being able to pivot. And if you don't pivot, kind of what the repercussions are, not being able to kind of be agile from a business owner perspective. So first of all, if you're watching it live, hashtag live in the comments below. If you're watching on replay, hashtag replay as well. You know the drill. So Riley, let's jump right in. First of all, Tom Brady.
Man, he's unstoppable. You put Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, you can't bet against him.
Do not bet against TB12. All right, limiting beliefs. So wanted to talk about limiting beliefs. We have a couple stories that we want to talk about today. The definition of a limiting belief are having false beliefs that prevent us from pursuing our goals and desires. What that really means to me, and Riley, chime in whenever you would like, is having a limiting belief is really having like a false sense of reality, which hinders you from making a decision that may or may not be right, but it essentially stops you before even starting. And why we want to talk about this is it's came up essentially the past month, where we're talking to landlords and investors, kind of explaining the benefits of short-term rentals. And we've heard it over and over, like, nope, I'm not interested in making more money. I'm not interested in hiring a professional. I'm not interested in working less, which kind of from the outside in sounds kind of crazy, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we're just blown away at how many times we hear people immediately slam the door on the idea. And we'll go into a little bit of why it makes sense, why people have these limiting beliefs. But in practicality, these are good deals in our mindset. I mean, these are good opportunities that people are just completely not open to. I mean, they may not always be the best, but to, in the very beginning, just shut off an idea as not viable for you is a limiting belief. These people aren't giving the time of day to really dive into the details, to crunch the numbers, to get to know us, to get to know the platform, to get to know the rental strategy. So it really is just shutting the door on a good opportunity.
Yeah. And I think people from a very high level think it might be a fad, these whole short-term rentals, like people traveling for, a week or 2 at a time. People are still kind of thinking it's a fad. Airbnb just went public not long ago. It's February 2021, so I believe it was earlier this year. But it's still such a brand new concept. I'm just mind blown that the amount of people who have been like, oh, not interested in making $1,000 more per month.
It's wild, and that's a real case that we just brought up there. It's a lot of these properties, and we're going for the cream of the crop rentals here in Charlotte, and we offer our management services, a professional in the property, at an added $1,000 a month.
Yeah,
you don't understand who would want to do that, but
yeah, after expenses,
it comes down to limiting beliefs. And I want to touch briefly what you just mentioned there for a second. Is this platform is new. That's not a secret. I mean, it's been 10, 15 years, but in the realm of real estate investing, one of the oldest asset classes there is. I mean, that's a really short amount of time. So you look at the makeup of a lot of these property owners with large portfolios, and they're older, people with second homes, and they just haven't had necessarily the experience to use the app and to fully understand what goes into providing a short-term rental. So it's a lot of misnomers about property damage and non-reliable rents and volatility. And frankly, a lot of that is just not true. And we can prove that it's not true, but it's a limiting belief to just say that you have no experience with it, so it's not a good rental model for me.
Yeah. And the thing that really baffles me, it's saying no before hearing all the details. A part of business ownership and running a successful investment portfolio, like most of our clients are, it's being open to a new opportunity. Yes, it's not a good fit for some people. It's a slam dunk for other people. So the people that we are working with, it's a slam dunk. Like it's already a yes, a win-win for everybody, and that's it's just saying no really before hearing all the details.
And it's hard not to sound like, is this too good to be true? But when we're saying these numbers, that it is true, and it takes building a relationship, building rapport, and getting to really explain who we are. But people are hearing it and thinking, "Wow, this is too good to be true," but it's not. It really isn't.
Yeah, and the first people to act are usually the first people to succeed as well. If you're constantly saying no, going through life, there is definitely going to be some opportunities that you're going to miss out on. So that kind of rolls into the next point, having a growth mindset. Myself and Riley we're both readers. We're always learning, listening to podcasts, talking to people who are doing great things in this world, constantly growing that mindset. I've found that to be successful, you have to have a growth mindset. Chances are that's one of the key traits to being successful. And one thing that we really harp on, it's being open and receptive to new ideas. And like we touched on earlier, the short-term rentals is something brand new, relatively 10, 15 years old. In the grand scheme of thing, it's very new. So having that growth mindset is really key.
And then growth mindset does hit on another area that we want to touch today. And it's that in order to truly grow a business, you cannot be involved in all of the daily activities. So let's focus specifically on property management. We have these hands-on owners who have small portfolios, 1 to 3 properties, and they are very type A personalities, which is great. That's not a bad thing, but people who want to be involved in every aspect of the business, that does not scale. So when you think about those costs that you may be saving in management, really what you're losing is significantly more in the ability to grow over time. So that time is better invested in growing the portfolio, securing financing, and taking the next steps into growing that portfolio rather than babying the 1 to 3 properties that you have right now.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at it a little more broadly, I mean, there's a reason why we hire accountants, why we hire lawyers, people that are specialized and do well what they do. So don't try and do everything yourself, because you're going to, again, limit yourself in what you can achieve.
Yeah, and you might cut costs in the beginning, and even with a small portfolio, some people can manage it, but it brings me back to opportunity costs. Like, what are you giving up managing all these different hats and wearing all these different hats? The average for us, it's 8 to 12 hours a month per rental, which is a lot of time. It's a lot of dedicated time, responding to guests, scheduling cleaners, following up with cleaners, making sure all that is done on the back end, optimizing the listing, the pricing. We could talk about that for hours, but 8 to 12 hours, do you have that per property? If you're only spending 2 hours, you're probably not optimizing it to the best of your ability. But most people hit a capacity, usually, ballpark, and usually 3 properties is when we really see that kind of capacity start to come in. So it's just like Riley said, hiring a professional, having the opportunity cost, and just really partnering with specialists in different industries. Like you need to know a little bit about your taxes and your accounting, but you don't have to do everything to file your taxes. That's when you hire that pro that you could probably do it in 5 hours, but the pro can do it in 1. So it's, yes, you're going to pay some, but what is your time really worth in the long run?
And you think about that, these people are doing this most of the time, it's part-time. These people have full-time jobs that they're invested in, and they're investing in real estate on the side. That's the nature of growing a portfolio. You don't start with 1 property and go full-time into that. So there's a full-time business that has to be considered as well as a time commitment. Then you start trying to do everything else on the side. So that's when you're really bottlenecking the growth of your rental business.
Yeah. So if you're feeling kind of stuck, if you're at, a couple properties and you're at that capacity, you have a full-time job, reach out. We're more than welcome to run a free analysis for you, see if your property would be a good fit. If it is, great. If it's not, we'll also tell you it's not. We had one yesterday that was like, no, this is not a good fit.
Yep. More information, gather information to make the best decision possible for you and for your property.
Yeah. Which brings me kind of to the third point is being able to pivot. We unfortunately had two people in our kind of network, say two short-term rental businesses went out of business in the past, I believe it was the past 2 or 3 weeks, which is kind of mind-blowing. But the pandemic, terrible thing that's happening, we're still kind of pushing through it right now. But being able to pivot and kind of change and be agile as a business owner, that is key to really striving forward and getting through this pandemic without going out of business.
Exactly. Let's talk about the pandemic. I mean, look at the moratorium on evictions. That has really changed the long-term rental market. The quality of tenants. I mean, just look at, are people receiving the same wages? People are getting furloughed and laid off, and they're allowing people to stay in places to keep people from being homeless. It's a great law. I love what it does for the people, but you have to consider what the consequences for the landlord there. We're not saying to, abolish the rule or anything, but again, you have to pivot or die. You have to make adjustments in what you're doing. So one adjustment may be switching to the short-term rental market, tapping into a traveling group that hasn't dissipated that we've seen. So knowing to market to those people and basically skirt or mitigate that risk of not having rent paid on time or having somebody in your place from anywhere from 3 to 6 to 9 months without payment. So that alone right there could kill a landlord. I mean, I don't know how many landlords can carry the mortgage cost for 9 months without receiving $1 of rent and then move through that without a problem. So it's pivot or die out here. And this is a challenging time, but the good news here is with some adversity, you can grow, and this turns into a good opportunity for a lot of investors moving into the short-term rental space.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. I mean, great point there. Yeah. Anything else to add? I think those are the 3 main points we wanted to cover. Yeah, it's being open-minded, making sure you're constantly expanding and growing. Your just mindset overall.
Be open.
And yeah, be open. Reach out to us if you have any questions. Hopefully all that made sense. But yeah, I know it was kind of less about short-term rentals today, but more of kind of the mindset that goes behind it. But yeah, thanks for joining us. Once again, Caleb and Riley from MyTripify, and we will see you on the next live.